Hey everyone, Dino here with you. Hey, I'm sitting next to a PF-500 and a PF-115 AG. And in this video, we're going to take a look at some possible fretless settings for your PF-500. Now you say you don't have a fretless? Don't worry about it. Grab a butter knife, some pliers, a soldering iron, and some boat epoxy, and we'll turn that 62 jazz bass into a fretless for you real quick. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, even if you don't have a fretless, check out some of the settings because you might find some of these EQ settings on your PF-500 useful for even a fretted bass. So stick around. Okay, so before we get started with anything, with any amp or any bass that I'm using, I always like to set my input gain. Now remember, the input gain is the control that allows as much signal into the amp without distorting it or overdriving it. So let's do that first, okay? So I'm going to adjust my input gain just until that LED lights up, and then I'm going to back it off. And as you can see, the rest of my EQ is set flat. And that's actually a good starting point for a fretless bass. With the EQ set flat, but we're not going to stop there. One frequency that bass players always forget about is the mid-range, especially with a fretless. Mid-range really brings out that moi effect that fretless players really like to hear. So especially on a PF-500, where you have a 5-position mid-range selector switch and then a cutter boost. So I'm going to boost my mid-range all the way, and I'm going to go through the 5 different frequencies so you can hear how that affects the fretless sound. So position 1, I'm at 220. Now I'll go to position 2, which is 450. Position 3, which is 800 hertz, and you can really hear the bass starting to speak there. Position 4, which is 1.6, and then position 5, which is 3K. And that starts to bring some of the highs out. I think I like position 2 and 3 the most. I'll go back to 3. Now keep in mind, I'm boosting these frequencies all the way. You can cut stuff out too by going. So now I'm cutting 220 by about 20 dB, and then I'll go through all 5 frequencies. And then I'll go back to position 3, set it all flat again, okay? And we're back to where we started. Now that's one possible fretless sound for you. Let's say you have a fretless and you want to duplicate an upright sound. You'd take a totally different approach. So for upright, I would say let's boost my ultra low. We're going to kill some of the treble here so that we don't get as much clack out of the bass. And I would say boost mid-range and bass. You can even bring the bass up a little bit more there and get a really big blossoming sound. Maybe even kill some of your mid-range. Okay, so with that, let's go back to setting everything flat again. And we're back to where we started. Well, that's it for me, guys. I hope this gives you some good insight on different fretless settings for your PF-500. Like I always say, these are merely suggestions, just starting points, if you will, for you to build on. If you have a tone setting that works perfect for your particular playing technique or the style of music you're trying to achieve, that's totally cool. Stick with it. And again, even if you don't have a fretless, I hope some of these settings help you out. You never know. Even if you're playing a fretted bass, you might be able to mimic or try and replicate some fretless tone by using some of these settings. As always, I invite you to check out some of my other tone setting videos on the PF-500. Like I always say, keep playing more bass.